I figured I'd just do a quick show and tell of a UAD Fairchild 670. That's the compressor right here. Basically, I just actually purchased this today. It was on special for $99. I believe that sale was throughout October. So if anyone's looking at getting it for that price, it may be up by now. I don't know. I'm not too sure what time or what state UAD are in as far as in the USA. I don't know where they are. Anyway, I'm actually in Aussie. Anyway, nonetheless, as you can hear, it's raining in the background. And if you do hear other people talking, that's probably my next door neighbors. I don't know, they talk a lot. Anyway, I figured I'd just do a quick show and tell on this compressor. I really think it's a pretty good compressor. It emulates it's meant to emulate what it's supposed to emulate. So the Fairchild 670. This is the most up-to-date version that they have at the moment. They did have a previous version, and I'll just quickly show you what that is before I get into this. Where's my things? So the Legacy is the original version they had. I'm pretty sure that a number of people probably had that when it first came out, and it does sound pretty good. But why we're here is the new one. So I'll just exit that for the moment. I figured I'd do it actually before I get into that quickly as well. There is a mono version. Well, actually, I think it's stereo, to be honest. Where is it? 660. So the 660 is, well, I believe it would have been a mono version when it was hardware. I don't know if this is stereo or what. I believe it is. So anyway, doesn't matter. Stereo, mono, whatever. That's not why we're here. I pretty much wanted to show you, because I've used this compressor, this one on my vocal, and I've used this compressor on my mix bus and also on my drum bus. I just wanted to give you like a listening test and kind of like a showing of how it works. It actually works a little bit different to, I guess, your standard kind of compressor like in SSL. The only SSL imitation that I have is actually a Native Instruments SSL solid bus compressor. To be honest, it's okay. It's not horrible, but it's most certainly not the best compressor that you're going to find for a bus compressor. In my exploratory looking around in compressors, I've looked at the Waves G bus comp. I've also looked at the UAD, which I'm going to do a review on, the UAD SSL G bus compressor. And I'll just quickly show you what that looks like, because I do have it here. Just a second while I find it. So that's what it looks like, right? So it's pretty much as you'd imagine a bus compressor to look like from that console. It does a pretty good job of looking like it. I'm not going to get into how it sounds right now, because this isn't what this tutorial is about. I just wanted to show you that that's what it looks like. Anyway, let's just stay focused. So this compressor, right? This compressor works in two different modes. It works in stereo, so that's left and right channels combined, and then it also works in what they call lat-vert. So lat-vert is the center channel for the top compressor, and then the mid-side channel for the mid channel. Sorry, the side image. So when you're looking at a stereo image, you're looking at the middle is where the kick, snare, all the middle instruments, vocal, most importantly vocal. The vocal sits in the center in a mono channel, and then you'd have things that are panned out left and right, which would be your stereo fields. You can still pan mono stuff. It does pan, but there are a number of different things that you can applicate stereo to. Anyway, so let's just get to what it sounds like. I figured I'd just give you a quick, show and tell of how it sounds like on drums. I'm going to leave... No, actually, no, I won't. I'll turn it off the bus, and I'll just put it on the drums, and I'll show you what it sounds like on and off repeatedly so you can hear it and experience it for yourself. All right, so just give me a sec. I'll just quickly do that. Okay, I just wanted to bring something up and highlight it as well before I continue with this. Even when you just have the compressor engaged with no compression, it actually still has some kind of it must have a character to the actual compressor because of all the tubes and capacitors inside the original piece of hardware. They've tried to emulate that. So I'm guessing that that's the type of character that those electronics would drive into your music. So anyway, let me just play it again, and I'll quickly show you on, off, and then I'll show you with no compression at all, so you can hear that it's actually doing something without even having a compressor active at the time. Okay, so as you would have heard, it has an effect, and that's the tubes and all that sort of emulation that's happening. It does have an effect where it creates a thickness and a warmthness to the track. I definitely feel like that it does benefit when you're using it. The great thing about this compressor as well is that I actually have used it and I am using it at this precise moment in sidechain mode. So the sidechain filter that I've got right now, I've taken a bit of the low end that was affecting the compressor, and I removed it out of the actual chain, so it's now not affected so much by the low end. Because this song that I've got, look, I've created this song myself, I produced it, and it's got a lot of low end. Like, it's got a bass track here which pretty much takes up most of the low end as it is, and then I've got a kick which is a pretty fat kick, and that definitely, you know, I've had to do previous EQ stuff on these tracks, so you haven't seen what I've done on this. I've only added the Fairchild to it now, but because I bounced this track out of Machine, so I did a little bit of pre-processing on the track prior to putting it in here, and as you heard, the drums already sounded good as they were. There wasn't much that was required, and that's kind of why I didn't have a lot of compression going on with it anyway. But yeah, it has this yeah, I can't describe it really, but a thickness and a fullness to the compressor that when you add it into something, it makes it sound really great, and like a record should. So the other thing is, I might show you on some vocals, right? These are actual my vocals, and they're to this track. So I'll show you what they sound like. I might take the kick out of it. No, actually, I'll leave it in. I'll show you what it sounds like as a whole track, with the compressor on the bus, so you can hear it as a bus compressor as well. And I'll just make sure I still had the same settings. I'll go back and add those to that, and then that way you can hear it on the whole track, and, you know, judge for yourself on what you think it sounds like, because it's not my opinion. It's just what you think sounds good, what the track is that you're working on, what helps that. You don't have to use this compressor. There's a billion other compressors out there that you can use. It just is a really good compressor to use that's got a fast attack. Now these attack settings here, there are set attack settings in the manual that I have to have a look, and actually I might post it up on this later or in the description to tell you what the actual settings are, because off memory I can't remember what they are. I know these last two here are like an auto setting that would work in correspondence to your transients and how the music's affecting the compressor. But anyway, I'm not going to get too much into the technical stuff, because I'm not a huge tech head. I just do what sounds good, right? So there are heaps of tutorials that I've seen on this about how they work as well, and I can do a follow-up if you'd like me to. Nonetheless, let's get to why we're doing it. So on the bus, this is the bus compressor I'm using. I'll show you the two other I've got. So this is a Native Instruments Supercharged GT. Not many people have this, and maybe I should do a tutorial, because I haven't seen it a whole lot, and maybe I just haven't looked for it, I don't know. But to me, it's got a unique kind of sound. So this compressor really, it can make things sound good, and it can make them sound really bad. But the good thing about it that I really like, and that I use it for, is this warm feature. So it has a feature where it brings like this really thick warmness to your track, like hardware would. You know, if you're running it through an SSL console or whatever like that, the type of sound that hardware brings, that's the kind of thickness this brings to the track. So anyway, we're not here for that compressor. I'll show you what it sounds like though. And once again, I'll drop it in and out and in and out, and then that way you'll get a perspective on how it sounds, and make up your mind on what you think about it. So let me just do that.
Can't take it back, it's a no-go. Back to back, feeling low. But why is it so? Rinse and repeat, like we ain't heard it. But we walking that street, continuing games. I just found my feet. I'm hearing that word, but I still turn to heat. Why? Worldwide, slow vibe. See what we be living like. Chasing dreams for we want, but likelihood we ain't choosing right. Pile up sins, it's a YOLO. Once it's done, it's a no-no. Can't take it back, it's a no-go. Back to back, feeling low. But why is it so? Rinse and repeat, like we ain't heard it. But we walking that street, continuing games. I just found my feet. I'm hearing that word, but I still turn to heat. Why? wide, slow vibe. See what we be living like, chasing dreams for what we want, but likelihood we ain't choosing right. Pile up sins, it's a YOLO. Once it's done, it's a no-no. Can't take it back, it's a no-go. Back to
So as you would have heard, it does affect the audio, and to a really pleasing way, I think. I took out that first compressor because I didn't want you to, have an interpretation of it as it wasn't. So basically, as you can hear in the track, it kind of brings stuff together, and just as you'd expect it to do, it really glues everything together, is the word they use. It to me, it just gives this nice thickness to the sound that you just wouldn't have otherwise. And with tracks like this, there's a lot of low end, so that it's gonna have to be glued together by multiple different compressors anyway. But what I found was, the way I mix anyway, I mix using a bus compressor mainly at the start, and I mix into that compressor. I don't actually, mix my track and then go, oh, I feel like grabbing a compressor and chucking it on. Because honestly, if you do that, you're going to get to the point where you mix your track and then you've got to the point where it sounds okay, and then you throw a compressor on it and it just completely throws whatever you did out the window, because you didn't mix to the way that compressor was affecting the sound anyway. So I feel when you mix a track, it's best to have a decision on what you want to use. So if you had a piece of hardware and you're mixing, you wouldn't be changing that hardware later on down the track throughout that mix. You'd be sticking to that hardware and you'd mix into that piece of hardware. So say you had an SSL console, which I don't, hopefully one day I will, but say you did, and you'd have your bus compressor on, you could have it turned off where it's not responding, but theoretically, it's the best idea that I think anyway, is mixing into what you're using and getting the sound out of it that you're already expecting. And then at the end, you can add your final touches to the compressor, 2-3 dB, whatever you want it to be. But I feel that I'm getting into the mixing techniques anyway. But honestly, when I use this compressor, I felt like it had that character that I wanted. It definitely brought in things that were pleasing to the ear. Ear. It was pleasing to the ear, and it just added this thickness and brought my mix together exactly how I wanted it to sound. You don't have to use compressors like this. You can use any compressor to do that. Even the stock compressor in Logic is good enough to do that kind of stuff. I think the stock one is fairly decent, and it's actually got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So seven different compressors you get to choose from, and these compressors actually sound good, surprisingly. You can use that type of compressor. This actual compressor that's on the screen right now, this VCA, this is actually apparently, I think, meant to replicate the SSL. So you could use that and you'd be fine. There's no issue, and it's good if you can use the stock stuff and make your stuff sound good first before getting plugins, because you can get caught in the trap of buying plugin after plugin after plugin, and you just get lost and you have no idea what plugin to use on your track because you've just got too many and there's too many options. I think honestly the best advice I ever got when I was making tracks at the start was limit the amount of stuff you have, and that way you'll be more creative in what you're doing, and you'll be able to then later on add little things that you wanted to have that you didn't have before. But until you know how to use a compressor properly, until you know how it sounds, until you know what you want it to sound like, then I think it's best to limit your stuff that you have your stock stuff, work on that, understand how it works, make sure you know that you can't go anything past that until you start, make sure you know you've reached the limit on what you're doing first before you start grabbing for some other third-party compressor or plugin or whatever, because you're just going to get lost in the field of billions and billions of plugins. that's just my sound advice anyway. You don't have to take it. Do whatever you want. You can have 1,000 plugins if you want. It doesn't bother me. But anyway, so the other thing I just want to show you, I'll put it on the bass, and I'll just show you how it affects the bass as well. So this is really low, thick, deep bass, and it's kind of, I think it's in like 50 or 60 hertz. I actually might just have a look at the EQ to show you where it's kind of falling. But anyway, I'll show you what it sounds like with the compressor off first, and then I'll engage it, and then you can have a listen to that as well. So sorry about the clicks and the pops there. I think it's just, I can't help it. It's just going to have to stay. Anyway, so you would have heard there was a little bit of level increase. I tried to reduce it to level match. I think it went from like minus 15 to minus 12 or something like that. So, I tried the best to level match it on the video as well, but, it is what it is. So there's a bit of level increase, which always makes things sound a little bit better. Excuse me. But basically, you heard the kind of effect that it has on the bass. It brought it together. I don't know if you can bring bass together, but it brought a thickness to the bass as well. I didn't even have the bus on, so that was without the bus. And the bass, I've already done a bit of work on the bass prior to adding this compressor. And it did sound good already. So, you kind of want to have your track sounding good before you add stuff like that, third-party stuff like this, where it's going to add some kind of effect to it, unless obviously you're going for that effect at the start. I originally intended to mix this really clean. So I all I did when I mixed this bass track, I had my drums right. So I set up my drums, and I knew exactly where my drums were going to fit it within that field of frequencies. So pretty much my bass, it was taking... hang on, let's let up the EQ. So as you can see, it kind of was at the 50, somewhere around 50, 60 hertz, just then it just disappeared. But you saw it was about there. My kick kind of filled a little bit higher up in the space, in the spectrum. I intentionally made it so it didn't clash. And there are ways you can EQ things, and I'll quite happily do another tutorial on show you how I actually EQ my kick and my bass together, because one thing I learned early, well actually it wasn't early, it took me ages to figure it out, but one thing I learned about the kick and the bass, whatever you have in your song, it is a must to have the bass and the kick work together. If you don't have that going on, then the whole thing's going to sound like a bag of crap. And honestly, when I learned that, that's when my song started to go way above my mixing abilities prior to that. The other quick tip I can give you for mixing as well, while we're at it, is mixing in mono. Like that that itself is like the biggest mixing hack cheat thing you could ever do. You can hear, because when you mix in stereo, basically you're having the sounds coming from two different sources instead of one single source. So for example, when I'm talking, I'm speaking, there's one source, one conversation, that's it. If I was to turn my voice into stereo, say I was to delay it one to the left, one to the right, and make it wide, your ears interpret that as a certain width, but you can't exactly hear if other things are interfering with my voice. So in this song, for example, until you put it in mono and lock it straight into the center, and then you hear all the things that are going right down the center in your track, and you can hear everything that's interfering with anything else that's on that track, and that just makes your mixing so much easier. If I had have known that a long time ago, I probably would have saved myself a load of pain and nightmares on mixing. But anyway, I feel that mixing in mono and kind of mixing at low volumes as well. That's the key to getting your track sounding really good, like clear, crisp, and frequencies that aren't interfering with other frequencies or stealing spectral frequencies that you wanted to save for other things. Like your vocal on a track, for example, on this track, my vocal has got to be right dead center, on point, clear, crisp, and you got to be able to hear it without anything interfering, and especially with the bass and the kick, which is what grooves the song together. So anyway, so I'll quickly show you on my vocal. I think this video is getting a bit long, so I don't know if you're going to get bored out of your brain, but whatever. I'll just quickly show you my vocal, and I'll show you how I did the vocal. I've got a fair few things on my chain, on my vocal chain, but that's alright. I'll just show you with the compressor, and I'll show you how the compressor affects the vocal. Now, my vocal sounded good anyway. Like, it sounded already clear, crisp, because I already had a compressor that I used when I recorded it. I recorded my vocal actually using, I'll show you the compressor I used, so you know. Where is it now? It was this compressor here. So I actually recorded my vocal with UAD plugins. You can actually use your console, and you can actually put the plugin in here. So I actually use this, so you can see the difference in my voice already. I just put that preamp in there. Wow. I wonder if that thunder's going to kill my computer. Actually, I might leave that in there. Sounds pretty good. So that preamp, right, I use that preamp to record my vocals most of the time. It's a great preamp. If you don't have UAD stuff, save your money on crappy plugins, on spending stuff on waves. I'm not going to say they're crap, because they're not crap. Just be mindful of what you spend and try and save. It took me a while to get this actual piece of hardware, and when I got it, I was amazed at how good it actually sounded. And it definitely helps to have clear, crisp audio that you can have at low volume, and it not to interfere with your music. Anyway, getting off track here, I'm just talking about so much different stuff. So anyway, I recorded using this compressor. So I had it set similar to this for my rap, and when I recorded it, it already came in compressed, so my chain was already clean, and as you can hear my preamp, it sounds pretty clear already. I'm just showing you stuff. You don't have to have this stuff to have good recordings. Trust me, you don't. I had the crappiest piece of hardware ever. I think I had I don't even know what I had. No, actually, before this unit, the unit I had was a complete Audio 6. Now that was a really good unit for USB. This is actually run by Firewire, so it's a bit different to USB, so it's quicker. But anyway, so let me just quickly show you the vocal. I'm probably boring everybody. So anyway, I'm just going to quickly show you the vocal before this video gets too long, and then that way you can hear it. All right, just give me a minute.
Worldwide, slow vibe, see what we be living like. Chasing dreams for what we want, but likelihood we ain't choosing right. Pile up sins, it's a YOLO. Once it's done, it's a no-no. Can't take it back, it's a no-go. Pack the bag, feeling low. But why is it so? Rinse and repeat, like we ain't heard it. But we walking that street, continuing games. I just found my feet. I'm hearing that word, but I still turn to heat. Why? Worldwide, slow vibe, see what we be living like. Chasing dreams for what we want, but likelihood we ain't choosing right. Pile up sins, it's a YOLO. Once it's done, it's a no-no. Can't take it back, it's a no-go. Pack the bag, feeling low. But why is it so? Rinse and repeat, like we ain't heard it. But we walking that street, continuing games. I just found my feet. I'm hearing that word, but I still turn to heat. Why?
So that was the vocal track. You can hear I still need to cut out some of the breathing, but I did. I left some of it in there just so it sounds natural. You don't want to take out all the breathing, and I haven't finished this track yet, so you just got to hear it. So pretty much in the track, let me just expand it. So you can see here, there's the breathing section there. There's another part there. They're all the parts that you can actually edit out when you're editing your vocals. I wouldn't recommend removing all of it because it just won't sound natural, and you can't even hear it anyway. When the track's going, it's not noticeable to hear it to the ear. So basically, that's the compressor right there. I just took off the effects so you could actually hear the vocal without the effects on it, and see, as you can see there, that's the compressor that I used when I recorded the vocal. Then I added another one additionally after the vocal was actually recorded. So it's up to you. How you want to approach things is totally your thing. I'm just showing you as an example, and this primarily is a video on this compressor here anyway. So you can see the multiple applications you can use it for. It doesn't have to just be a bus compressor, and it doesn't have to just be a drum compressor. You can use a compressor on anything you want to be honest. And if you want to know how a compressor works, or what it is, or how it affects the song, or I should say how it affects audio, there's hundreds and hundreds of tutorials on the internet about that. I can certainly do another follow-up tutorial if anyone is actually interested in seeing that. By all means, I'll do that. But yeah, for sure, like, to be honest, this compressor, to me, it definitely helps glue things together. For $99, which is what I paid for it, it was a pretty good deal. So I figured I'd get it. And later on down the track, I should say, when I've got some more cash to blow on stuff, I'll probably look at getting another different bunch of compressors. But the next compressor I'm actually looking at is the Slate Audio, the FG Grey. That, to me, if you're looking for a hardware unit that sounds like an SSL, the FG Grey and the ones that come with it, they sound amazing. So anyway, I think I'll call this the end. And if you have any questions, hit me up in the comments. And also remember to like and subscribe. And thanks for watching, because this has been a long video. Thanks for all your attendance in watching this. And peace out. Thanks.